What do you think's going to happen this week? I mean, with the whole Russia thing.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Also interesting to remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah.
At this moment in history, as we're looking at efforts across the country to prevent people from being able to exercise their fundamental rights,
Jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says that he's going to bring all these jobs back, well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, what magic wand do you have? How exactly?
Okay. We are missing someone at the moment. I have gotten a phone call from Mr. Barnes, Saintly Barnes, and I didn't get to talk to him. I missed it. Oh, we got our friend Mr. Science over here. We'll just get rid of him for now. I need more room. Hopefully everything's sounding okay out there. Last week we had some issues. I'm still having issues. If any connoisseur of sound would like to come over and help plug in and plug out stuff, give me a call. So there wasn't really much happening this week. So it's going to be a slow news day. That's what me and Barnes were discussing. That's why he's not even here, because there's nothing really to talk about. So I watched a bunch of Buck Rogers, in the 25th century from 1979. That's what I did because I was so bored. Starring Gil Gerard and Aaron Gray. Remember Aaron Gray? Spandex. A lot of spandex in Buck Rogers. I'll tell you, though, it's much better than watching CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. Way better than watching news. It's a whole different kind of entertainment. You're really, you get better vibes, better feelings from watching a good TV show. Really thought-provoking and indoctrinating. Yeah. Had a lot of good special effects for the time. 79, right after Star Wars, everything was hot. Anything in space, people wanted it bad. They wanted it bad. There's a lot of strong women in Buck Rogers. Colonel Wilma Deering. She was, look who it is. Better late than never. I was just telling them how it was such a slow news week, and so I just watched a bunch of Buck Rogers from the 25th century.
It was slow?
Slow news week, yeah.
Oh, it wasn't that slow.
Am
I hooked up there?
You should be. Give a shout out in there.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late.
You still got issues with that mic there?
Just a little crunch, it sounds like, Rando.
Maybe I should just bring the other mic over for you, and we'll figure that out later.
I didn't even have time to get my laptop.
Yeah, what happened? You get sleepy?
No, I'm moving,
Oh.
And,
Let me grab you the other mic.
all right. I'll just tell these guys. I'm moving this week. And the first thing that happened is kind of my fault. I forgot it was February. There's only 28 days. I thought I had 30 days. And, I got snowed out of my move yesterday. Check. I don't hear me in the can.
At all?
No. I don't know if they hear me or not.
Where's my mouse?
Oh?
It's right here.
I don't know. I kind of got something that time.
Oh, because of this.
Oh, yeah, there it is. So I was moving, and last night we ran out of gas or whatever, and we have electric and gas heat, and I got like 2 more days there, so I was not going to fill up the tank just for 2 days, and my landlord popped in when I was moving and just killed all my time. I hate moving. What's that?
You sounded better.
Oh yeah, I hate moving. It was a busy news week, but I didn't really have time to do anything. I was moving all week.
Well, I got a Buck Rogers report we can go over.
We could talk about some bombing. Israel doing some bombing this week. Did you see that?
Yeah, Israel. We were bombing in. Oh shit! Where else were we? We were bombing in Somalia.
Oh, what? Why?
I don't know. Look it up. I didn't chase
Okay.
that story down. All I know is that there's plenty of bombs dropping.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, I was just telling them about Wilma Deering from Buck Rogers. 25th century, 1979.
Not familiar.
You never saw that show?
I probably saw it, but the chances of me remembering it though.
Gil Gerard, as Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
And he's like falling backwards in a little circle.
Oh, and like a time loop or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the beginning of the show.
Okay, I do know that one, but I don't have it memorized or anything.
Had the little guy Twiggy.
I got you. I
The
don't.
voice of Mel Blanc.
I don't
he was
really
like,
remember. Yeah.
Roger Buck,
I mean, it's no time bandits.
bitty
so
bitty bitty,
I didn't-
Buck, hey Buck,
Bitty 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 bitty.
yeah,
I was watching some auctioneers this weekend on TV,
yeah.
and they do that. They do the one that bitty bitty bitty. I'm like, whoa, that was Buck
Do a little
Rogers.
Mel Blanc,
We
bitty
got
bitty
two over
bitty
here,
bitty.
bitty bitty bitty.
Roger Buck. Okay, Buck. So, anyways, yeah, I was watching that and I was fascinated by how much money was in the special effects, and they were talking about hypnosis like almost every other episode. I'm like, I wonder how much the CIA put into this show.
They had some influence. I mean,
I bet they did.
of course they did.
So, anyways, what should we talk about? I know it was just,
Well, we're gonna have to talk about Ukraine if you haven't already.
Oh, nope, haven't gotten there yet.
I don't really know what to do. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Ukraine. I know some of the history. You got some maps here, huh?
I got us a little map of what here up on the screen. You can see it now.
Right. I see that there.
We got our little NATO map of what's been going on.
Right.
You can move that over a little bit.
Let's see. You got a timeline, 1949. Yeah.
Well, I didn't make that. NATO made that map, so
Oh, I see.
I didn't.
Oh, let's see. What do I know about the Ukraine?
What do I know?
Well, they were one of the 6 countries to get an ultimatum by the Soviet Union in the, I think it was in the 20s or 30s, to join the Soviet Union or else. Finland was the only one that said screw off.
Was Russia like born out of Ukraine? Like,
What do you mean?
I don't know. I had heard something like that just earlier today or yesterday. Like that was where Russia started, I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that.
I mean, as far as the Slavic tribes came, they all came through there. They all came close to the Ukraine or through the Ukraine. As far as I know, Russia was started by the Rus and the Muscovy.
Okay. Rus.
2 brothers, I guess.
They were brothers, and they come up with the name.
No, the people were named the Rus.
The Rus.
Yeah, and the people around Moscow were called the Muscovy.
Wow.
Then what do I know? All right, so I don't really know much until 1991. I do know that the Ukrainians, when the Nazis came in, they saw them as liberators. and then they were sorely mistaken that they weren't actually liberators.
There's our buddy, Mr. Science.
Hey.
Hey, Mr. Science.
So here's what I know. 1991, Soviet Union breaks up. Ukraine gets independence. 1994 is the Budapest Memorandum, where the United States, UK, France, Russia all said to Ukraine, you don't need nukes. You're going to be a buffer zone, a neutral buffer zone. And Russia's like, they're not going to be in NATO. And we're like, no, we're not going to be in NATO. And that was like our main commitment, as far as I know, was the Budapest Memorandum. Shortly after that was the founding act between NATO and Russia, where they wanted to establish more peaceful, more civil relations between the two, more trade, keep European security in mind. They both committed to it. They wanted more cooperation between NATO and Russia. And I think that was in the late 90s, right? And then, yeah, that was the founding act between NATO and Russia, if anybody wants to look that up. Then, things get crazy after 9/11, because we go into Iraq with a coalition of the willing, which pretty much said screw the UN. That's debunked.
The same thing they're doing right now.
Russia followed by going into Georgia, if you remember. Like, after we invaded Iraq illegally, Russia illegally invaded Georgia. There was some other illegal stuff going on in China, making claims over coral reefs and stuff like that. But then, 2004, the Orange Revolution, right? The Voice, right? Came out the big winners on the Orange Revolution. Yushchenko, was that his name? Nicholas Yushchenko came into power. He was a socialist. He ended up getting poisoned by Russia.
I remember that. Dude looked pretty fucked up.
Yeah, he was green.
He was green, had his whole face fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, they poisoned that bastard for sure.
2004. Then I don't know much until 2011, and that's when the Pacific pivot happened underneath Obama.
I didn't get to read that.
I mentioned it to you quick. Yeah. The Pacific pivot basically said, Russia is no longer the threat that they once were. We have to start worrying about China. And I still think it's a good move, even though it's a direct cause and effect of what's happening in Ukraine today. But we moved a lot of men out of the Middle East, a lot of military personnel and equipment out of the Middle East and Europe. And Europe NATO never really picked up the slack after that. And then
I think that was the big thing that everybody was pissed at Donald Trump for, when he was like, pay your own way, NATO. You're fucking taking all our help, but not wanting to pitch in a dime.
Well, if you remember, after 2011, a lot of Republicans were saying that Barack Obama restarted the Cold War or whatever. That's what they were talking about until 2014, during the Russian annexation of Crimea.
Mm-hmm.
And
I got a little video of Joe, vice president then.
Well, yeah, he was assigned to Ukraine by Obama.
This is what here's what he had to say during that time. Let's see if it works. Oh.
That's well, that didn't turn out so well, huh? We kind of we gave them blankets. That's what we did to aid them. That's what the Obama administration decided to do to help Ukraine.
The beginning of that clip was something I just find interesting. Maybe you didn't catch on to, but everybody's calling it Kyiv now instead of Kiev.
Yeah, I've noticed that. It used to be Kiev, as far as I knew. Maybe the spelling has changed. Maybe the pronunciation has changed. I just started dropping the Ukraine because I found that was wrong after years of doing the Ukraine.
Yeah. It's just Ukraine.
Because that was what the Russians called it, the Ukraine, instead of, you're right. But yeah, once Russia annexed Crimea, that was it. Ukraine's fate was sealed. There was the Minsk 1 and Minsk 2 agreement. Minsk 1 was in 2014. Minsk 2 was in 2015. There were other security reassurances.
There were assurances to Russia that we wouldn't try to get them into NATO, but
after all this time, like, he's been asking, just tell me they're not going to be in NATO, and they're just like, yeah, not anytime in the near future. That's what what Germany, I forget which German it was, but just told them that like 2 months ago.
Right. The West has been dangling NATO membership in front of Ukraine since like 2008. We have no real intentions of bringing them into NATO.
No, but it's something that they just wouldn't say on the world stage.
Sure, they wouldn't say it to them. I kind of
and then they just like I got this little thing here, if I could find it. They sent like 80 tons of weapons in just like a few weeks ago, which in December Biden had gave the go ahead for.
Right.
But and then Putin was like, you guys going to give me an answer on that? And their answer was pictures from the U.S. State Department on Twitter through the Ukrainian ambassador of all these weapons being dropped into Ukraine. So,
I mean, at least we gave them something. But really, after 2014 and the annexation of Crimea, why would Ukraine join NATO? They didn't get any help then. Nobody helped them. Their fate was sealed. I feel like all this is just like...
It's definitely...
it was all over in 2014 except the crying, and we're seeing the crying now. And, it's funny how people kind of forget that stuff. That, like, relations between countries are slower usually than relations between people. They take
just a tad.
They take longer.
Also, and with news too. It's like news. You can be on top of the news, and for it to whatever to happen on mainstream media, if it's ever even going to come out, takes sometimes weeks to months.
Weeks to months, yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then in 2015 they had a lot of problems with they had like a mini civil war in Ukraine. They had a lot of problems with far right nationalists, well, we would call Nazis or fascist. Like that group you were talking about, the right sector or whatever.
Yeah, the right sector. They were there in 2014. I think they're still there now.
Oh yeah, they're still there now.
Bravi.
The Bravi.
Yeah, Bravi. Pravyi.
I looked into that, and there is a lot of far right, so uncalled ultra-nationalist groups in the Ukraine that have government support.
Oh yeah, they're like policing the streets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When people say you're a Nazi, that there actually are Nazis over there.
Well, yeah, or fascist or whatever.
Fascist.
Right.
Neo-Nazi.
Strasserist.
Right. The Azov. That's another.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were telling me about.
Azov, yeah.
So it's not untrue when Putin says he's going in there to fight neo-Nazis.
No, that's been a
not
problem
untrue.
In the Eastern Bloc since the Soviet Union fell.
Since the guy.
Well.
Oh, since the Union fell.
Well, yeah. I mean,
since the guy.
Ukraine was always part of. It was Ukraine SSR our whole lives until 1991, and now suddenly you have independence. You're still next to Russia. That's going to foster some nationalist feelings amongst the population. I mean, look at the Irish. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it comes down to having good guys and bad guys, and if you have the media behind you, anybody can be a good guy or a bad guy.
Yeah, Malcolm X said, the media will have the villain look like the hero and the hero look like a villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'll happen all the time. And speaking into that, it's like all media like right now is full on propaganda. Fox, MSNBC.
Yeah. It's been that way.
CNN is like they are all now for pro-gun. They're like, yeah, give them guns. Everybody arm them to the teeth.
That killed me, especially the Occupy Democrats page.
Yeah.
They were talking about nobody needs a semi-automatic rifle.
Why would you ever need
one, an AR-15?
Uh-huh.
And then last week, they're giving out free guns, everybody.
This is
hypocrisy.
What freedom's about.
And the thing about Biden is, it's like every time this guy gets near the fucking Oval Office, Ukraine loses another part of its country to Russia. I see all these people arguing. The problem's pretty obvious. It keeps happening when he gets near the Oval Office. So.
Oh, man. I mean, you want to look for patterns in life? It's not too hard to look at that pattern.
Mm-hmm. Think about the dates. 1994, Budapest Agreement. Who was in office? Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Clinton. I thought it was fun. I had a good time.
What is it he does? He goes like this.
Oh yeah, he changed this to this, and now all the presidents do this. Yeah, no, Hillary. I'm gonna go down Jeffries.
Gonna go down Jeffries. He's got some nice paintings.
I got this blue dress. It makes me wear.
You got a blue dress? Ooh, Jeffries. Oh, man.
I don't see Russia going further. I don't think they're that fucking crazy, but maybe they are. Nonetheless, this is going to cause problems in Romania.
And how do we actually say, if we take a step back, it's all coordinated? This has just been the slow cook towards a one world government. It's like you got to get the people pissed off enough to accept certain things.
Right.
And to do that, you have to make them horrified and living in fear.
True. Fear is a great motivator.
I just feel like there's too many coincidences that you can say these people are genius, or they are completely stupid. But for things to line up so perfect, like COVID, and then, all right, well, now we're going to have a war, possibly a third world war, maybe a fourth world war. Some people are calling it.
No fucking way.
But it's a good way to be like, well, look, we are going to have one if you guys don't really take us serious about these vaccination mandates and getting your IDs. I mean, they could drop another. Why is it okay for people in Ukraine? Why does the U.S. media think it's great for the people in Ukraine to fight back, but not truckers and not friggin' anybody, even U.S. people that have guns, or, it's like, it's all.
Because a lot of the media has been pushing a certain Democrat
narrative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it has, at least most of the mainstream media.
It's almost like the U.S. media hates America.
Yeah.
Most of it,
yeah. I mean, they keep saying that the media is only controlled by 6 corporations or something.
Yeah.
That's been said for 20 years now. So I don't know how anybody could trust these people to be objective when they're owned by major corporations. And they're all, what was the word they used in, there's a lot of synergy.
Synergy between the media and the government?
Yeah, well, and corporations, yeah.
Oh, and yeah, synergy.
Remember, what was that, Anchorman? He's like, we got this thing called synergy.
Oh, yeah. Anchorman. That's Will Ferrell. You ever see the outtakes of that?
No, I can't say I have.
God. Hilarious.
Are they good?
Might have been Anchorman 2, which has a really good outtakes where he's talking about being the elephant man. He's like, do I amuse you? It's pretty bad. And then also
San Diego.
And then something about raining down hot, frothy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one. You've seen that one?
I've seen that, yeah.
Now I know what the people of Pompeii felt like. Whereas they were rained down on hot lava.
Another place to be watched is Kazakhstan. But I really feel like the next thing we're going to see from Russia is a merger between Belarus and Moscow. They'll do a peaceful merger instead of a violent one.
Yeah.
Change it up. Yeah, sure. They were already chummy now. They were already talking about merging. So.
Well, I mean, I look at it like, yeah, everybody's blaming Putin, and yeah, he is the one pulled the trigger and went in. So you got to be like, the blood is on him for the most part. But it's like, you can't just, if you're playing this in Axis and Allies, and you saw the enemy just coming and walking in year after year, getting closer to your, like if you're playing, you don't want to reduce this to a game analogy, but it really
game theory works for that.
Game theory works.
Yeah.
You would do the same thing he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Putin though. I see the media keep like saying Putin, and sure, Putin's fucking nuts. He's greedy.
He is nuts. He is nuts, and he's a thug.
But they voted on this. The Russian government actually voted on this
to do this.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
This wasn't just Putin unilaterally deciding that he wanted to invade Ukraine. The Russian government said, "Yeah, that's a good idea. That's in our best interest right now."
Well, it kind of was. I mean, like where you had said to me a few weeks ago, it's like the Cuban Missile Crisis in reverse. I mean, if you just look at that map I had showed before, it is people just walking in right up to their border. And look at that. The yellow ones they're trying to get to join.
What is that, Georgia down there? Next to Turkey? Armenia? What is that?
I don't know. But just look at that. That's all basically one war machine against, and that's what we're saying here.
I listened to, what the hell was his name? Jan Stoltenberg.
Hi, Mr. Science.
The NATO general.
Okay.
And he was talking about coordination. Even when he was talking about the coordination, it didn't provoke any confidence from me. I could tell you that it didn't inspire any confidence when we were talking about the logistical problems that we have.
Well, real or not, it's perceived. You can be like, it's a perceived strength that if you were trying to keep someone from invading your place, you wouldn't want your place surrounded either.
No,
perceived or unperceived. Yeah.
Right.
But you're exactly right though. If you look at like when all this stuff is happening, it lines up perfectly with the Democratic Party.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got to go by the dates. The things happened when they happened, and who was in office when it happened. I mean,
that's just science.
Well, it's just fact. I mean, what are we gonna do? Totally rewrite new history?
Science.
Russia has a problem where they don't have any warm water ports, and Crimea helped them out a lot there. Crimea was 10,400 square miles of land that they just fucking took without any response from the West. And so, they don't have a warm water port where they don't have to pass the Allies or the West in order to get out into the open, into the blue water ocean. You can look at Kaliningrad here and in between Poland and Lithuania or whatever. They didn't even want that, honestly. The Russians didn't even want that little city.
Now look, you got a globe right here. You could figure out what that was you were looking for.
It's right there. It's a little city. It's called Kaliningrad.
Okay.
It was, it used to be Prussia. It was actually the heart of Prussia. I think it once was called Königsberg. I might be wrong about that. But they took it from the Nazis, and it was, German ground. So after the Soviet Union broke up, we couldn't really say, hey, give that back, because they took it from the fucking Nazis. It wasn't like Poland where, actually we went to war in World War II over Poland, if anybody remembers. The West, that's how we got involved. When Poland was invaded by the Nazis on September 1st, 1939, France and Belgium and England all declared war. They were also the main allies in the beginning of World War One. But they all declared war on the Axis powers. Primarily Germany, I guess. Not Italy quite yet, but... So after the fall of the Soviet Union, they tried to give Kaliningrad away to Poland, to Lithuania, but nobody wanted it. I think the Swedes were involved, interested. But mainland Europe's wary of the Swedes ever getting a hold on mainland European.
So where do you think this all goes? I mean, You're saying we're not staring down the barrel of World War III. We're just letting him take some more land like they've let him take it in the past.
Well, we had to refocus towards China, and when we did that, there was a power vacuum.
How about Taiwan?
How about it?
Do they go after it now, or you think they're just going to chill?
China?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it seems to me that
there's been rumblings that would make sense. Like
they've been violating Taiwanese airspace lately.
Mm-hmm.
China's a juggernaut, and if they attack Taiwan, I can't see that being contained to just Taiwan. And I think that's the Yellow Sea there. I can't see that being contained. I don't think Japan would sit idly by if that happened. I don't think South Korea would sit idly by. The Philippines would have to take heed of what's going on, because they're next. Plus we have Guam, which isn't very far. It's not exactly right there, but I can't see that theater just being Taiwan. That seems like a broader battle that could lead to World War III. We don't have the same fear of the Russians. The Russians are assholes, sure, but they've had.
they're not all assholes.
No,
not the people.
Obviously not.
The people, no.
I know some pretty cool Russian people.
Yeah,
but I've had some Russian friends that I love.
I was just talking to some, and oh man, they're pretty scared too.
Yeah, sure. It's scary for them as well. This is the first time that they've done something that, since the Russian Federation has been around, that drew. It was a risk. They didn't know whether they were going to get away with it. They could assume because they got away with it in Crimea, they're probably going to get away with it again. But Ukraine's not like Georgia. It's a big fucking country. It's got a lot of resources. It was one of the world's nuclear powers at one time.
Well, that was something else I wanted to bring up. We got them to give up their nukes.
Yeah,
I think that was Clinton, right?
That was 1994 during what did I just say? The Budapest Memorandum.
Yeah. And we're like, we'll protect you. Just give up your nukes.
Right. Well, the thing is that, NATO didn't want them having nukes because that was a threat to NATO, and Russia didn't want them having nukes because that was a threat to Russia.
So everybody was like, chill out, give them up.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about their food production. Like
a lot of wheat.
10% of supposedly the world's wheat and or grain. I forget exactly, but they're like, if this war goes past 3 weeks, it's going to disrupt the prices of food pretty dramatically.
Oh yeah, it will.
Because 3 weeks is when the planting time will be available. It's planting time in Ukraine.
Okay.
So
beginning of spring makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit north of us, though, right? Yes, they are.
So do you think it goes longer than 3 weeks? Because people are worried about the FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, says they produce 10% of the world wheat exports.
Do I see this going 3 weeks longer than it was? I see it going 3 weeks longer if Ukraine starts to win.
Right, but I don't see that happening.
And one thing that I did catch some news on this, and one thing that did annoy me about the news this week, last couple of days, was that they were manipulating footage, and I can't figure out why. So one of the pieces of manipulated footage I saw on multiple networks was a video of Russian tanks driving down the highway. All right, Russian military vehicles.
And what were they?
They sped up
They sped the footage up
to
make them look more aggressive?
Like they're going in faster. They're coming in at 110 miles per hour, even though these things can't go that fast.
Wow. Yeah, well, the propaganda is huge and hard and heavy right now.
Another one that confused me was there was a video of that. I think it was a rocket launcher or mobile rocket launcher or anti-aircraft.
No, they have the javelins over there. They
ran over a car or whatever.
Oh, that was a tank. Yeah. Tank, and there was an old lady inside of it.
Yeah, but when that footage came out, right? I just like, where the hell does Russian have tanks now in there?
I don't know if that was a Russian tank. I think that might
Right.
yeah, that was like one of the Azov or whatever it was, one of their tanks.
That was a Ukrainian tank. And
Exactly.
everyone thought it was, because I wasn't seeing any reports about Russian tanks in Kiev, Russian tanks in major cities in Ukraine.
No, I'm thinking that was like one of those factions or.
Could have very well been.
They got them. They got tanks. I've seen reports. Vice has done reports on them.
I'm not saying that they don't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in that one particular video when it came out, at first I was like, oh my God, that's disturbing. And then I was like, wait a second, are they even there yet?
They're not. No, yeah.
And they weren't at the time.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, what was it? Man, oh shit. Something about that the propaganda you were just talking about, like they have the ghost of Ukraine or the ghost of Kiev.
Yeah.
And then the Snake Island boys or whatever. Yeah. It's like
they got blasted, huh?
Yeah, but the way it's horrible, but I don't know. It's kind of disgusting how the media is just like making them like. I don't know. I guess they are making them heroes. They're
the
fighting
Snake
for
Island guys. Yeah,
they're fighting for what they believe is right.
Well, I mean, they went down with honor. They told them to go fuck themselves.
That's all you can do, I guess. But that's the other thing I wanted to bring up was that's what it was. It wasn't even about those guys. It was more about the president being a TV star and having his own show, his own production company that he formed in 2000. I think it was 16 or so, maybe a little earlier. Made a production company, then made a show about being the president of Ukraine.
Right. He played the president.
He played the president. It was a comedy show, and it was called Servant of the People. And then in 2017, they changed another party. I forget what the other party's name was. My notes are so fucked up this week.
I didn't get a chance to make notes this week.
But they renamed a certain party to be called the party, a Servant of the People party.
Servant of the People?
I believe so.
Oh, God.
It was named right after the television show.
Like the servant?
Or maybe that's wrong. I don't have my notes. They're so, like I just wrote stuff so fast this week. But anyways, the guy...
The Führer? The server? That's one thing. Like, if you look up the Führer, like, everything is going to tell you... It means dictator. So, Adolf Hitler decided to call himself dictator?
Maybe. But,
no, it was server.
But the fact that there's, like... We're talking about the heavy propaganda, and then this guy basically manifested himself to become the Ukrainian president. Because he just was like, look, I'm going to... I mean, if you can't say that is like some form of heavy duty psyop, if it's just coincidence,
it could be. I mean, I don't believe in coincidence in politics or thermonuclear politics. I just don't.
Thermonuclear politics.
There's no coincidence in thermonuclear politics. There just isn't.
Yeah, but that's I'm sure the people love him over there, and he's a great president. He seems to be trying to do the right thing at every turn, but it also everything he does seems to be very it's well done. Let's say it's well produced.
Right, it's well produced.
You know.
Now he's making videos with a cell phone out in the street.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't popular with the left. I know, like I said, like the Voice or the Vote, whatever the hell their name is. He wasn't very popular with them. That I forget her name, Rudis or something, or Kari Rudis. She was the head of the Voice party, a leftist party in Ukraine. She was very critical of him up until recently. Now she says he's doing the right thing. She also picked up a weapon.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like that in itself, the propaganda of showing pictures of all these famous people and rich people with guns is, to me, that's just straight propaganda. It's like you're showing Klitschko, heavyweight of the world, acting like a big time soldier. And it's like, I'm not there. I can't say that it's fucking not true. But you think if you were... I don't know, you wouldn't be really trying to pull that off if you were in the middle of a real war.
They need something.
I guess they need hope, right?
Every war needs a hero, Every army needs a hero.
That's the other thing. There's so many live cameras of
there's a lot of live cameras
of Kiev, and you go and watch. And what is the angle here? Because Putin doesn't look like he's just running in there and taking over. Otherwise, it'd be done already. They're not using any air power. They got slowly.
Some air power. They could.
This is the theory I've heard. He's trying to drive as many people out of the country as he can before he moves in. So it's like he's just like creating a scare and getting people to cross the border and get out.
The way that this ends is going to really shape people's response to it and how we view Russia going forward. If he gets the Ukrainian president, I'm not sure of his name off the top of my head, and they meet and they sign an agreement, we're going to look much more favorably towards Russia than if he has him killed.
Mm-hmm.
If he has him killed, this may just drag on. So,
what do you think about Secretary of State John Kerry, concerned that Russia and Ukraine war will distract from climate change?
I think John Kerry's a skull bone.
I think he's an asshole. How about Joy Behar? She's upset. She may not be able to go to Italy because of the war, and she planned a vacation this summer, and now she's not going to be able to get to go there.
I don't know why she talks about politics.
I don't know why she talks.
She's not smart or well educated. She's got
she's a mutt.
She's likable. She's agreeable. I'm sure she's a great host.
Oh my!
I don't think she knows anything about Westphalian sovereign province. I don't think she knows anything about Westphalian sovereign philosophy. I don't think she has a clue what that is. Never will. Won't bother to look at it. She's probably never read the Constitution.
I'm just trying to get a little extra news in because there's a shit ton this week.
Well, how about South Africa? They start talking tough out of nowhere, and it looks like they might reassemble their nukes now. Because that's
really,
they're one of the two states that gave up nukes willingly.
South Africa.
Well, they gave up their nukes because they're in the southern hemisphere, and they were the only nuclear power in the southern hemisphere. And with the winds, they just figured, why make the southern hemisphere a target at all? And they probably figured it's more profitable to sell uranium than to keep a nuclear arsenal. That's what it seems like has happened. But they still have them. They didn't get rid of them.
Well, they're just in response to Russia, they're being like, oh, we got to protect ourselves because the world's going crazy? Or they're just like...
He got a lot of criticism because he was playing the middle for a while up until the invasion. And then he started to talk tough. And everyone was like, whoa, South Africa. We're not even sure if you can win a war against New Zealand. What are you talking about? Madagascar might beat you. But yeah, he started talking tough. Good for him. I'm glad he did. He actually told Russia, get all your troops out of there.
How convenient is this? This was the other thing. I got a couple other issues, but the convenience of this war for like world politics, like Trudeau in Canada.
Right. He was underneath a lot of scrutiny lately.
The banks were being friggin'. The banks basically told him, you got to stop this shit because you're ruining the country.
Yeah. It's bad when fucking bankers disagree with you and they're getting money. It's bad.
Yeah. It was. How
about Iran saying, Trudeau, whoa, slow down. That's too much, man. They condemned them. That was hilarious. I was waiting for China to condemn him, too, in Cuba.
Oh, man.
Cuba didn't condemn him, though. Surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah. Cuba always, they're a North American country. They're always involved in everything. They were the first one to offer us aid after 9/11.
Yeah, that was nice of him.
It was kind of funny, but it was nice, yes.
So yeah, he was a dictator for 2 days. Trudeau. He had declared emergency powers. Well, maybe it was for more than 2 days, but then they decided to extend them indefinitely. And it was after he did that when everybody started yanking their money out of the banks. Shit.
They had a hard time.
They're going to fucking just lock us out of our bank accounts if we say the wrong thing. If we are a dissenter, they're just going to take our money.
Yeah, people waving the truckers and getting their bank accounts frozen. It's ridiculous.
I mean, that is. Here's a quote from him before. I mean, I'm sure if you haven't heard this, it's pretty messed up, and you probably have. But this is Trudeau before becoming prime minister. This is the quote right here. Trudeau says, "The level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go to the greenest, fastest. We need to start, investing in solar. There's a flexibility. I know Stephen Harper must dream about having a dictatorship that can do everything he wanted. I find that quite interesting."
Well, it's funny because
So he got his wish for 2 days.
Trudeau makes Stephen Harper look like Mr. Rogers. I mean, Stephen Harper was one of their farthest right prime ministers they ever had. He was around in the 80s, I do believe. And he was the closest thing that they've had to a strong right leader in Canada.
But that's why they're pawning him off as a dictator, because you can't be conservative without being a Nazi. That's how most people think.
I don't know many people that could actually tell me the tenets of Nazism. I don't know anyone that can identify it, really. They just think it means being mean. It's a racial ideology. It's used so mean. Wrong today.
I know.
Because the German folk basically don't really exist in the same idea that they were then. I mean, they're still German people, but it was an ideology, a political ideology strictly focused on Germanic peoples.
Well, back to Canada and their emergency powers being extended and then 2 days being rescinded. They are going to keep, though, some of those tools or they're going to vote on to keep some of the tools from the Emergency Powers Act in law, because they need them to, keep people from saying mean stuff. And now the misinformation is considered to raise the domestic threat level, and that was by Homeland Security. You know how they were trying to, yeah. You know how they were trying to make like parents like terrorists, the domestic terrorists. Now they're just saying if you spread misinformation, you may be a domestic terrorist.
So MSNBC is going to be taken down soon? Or?
No, they only have correct and beautiful.
Did you see
beautiful information?
Did you see that report about the Queen's health and
ivermectin?
Yes.
She's taking horse pills.
And then the company was like, "Oh no, that was a mistake. Why did you show it? Why was it in there?"
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the Queen's taking horse pills.
She's taking horse pills. Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. It was like 2 milligrams or something.
AOC's being sexually harassed by Tucker.
Why?
That's what she tweeted out, I guess, some stuff like that. Like
she is a narcissist. They hate me because they want to date me? Come on.
They hate me because they want to date me. Yeah. Who doesn't want a piece of that?
She's fucking out of her mind.
Yeah. That's called baggage.
Oh yeah, she's definitely
heavy baggage.
I'm sure she's a psycho.
But she's
what?
Powerful.
I mean, she's
brave.
Popular. Stunning and brave.
Stunning.
Fucking ran out of adjectives. Fucking half the country's out of adjectives. The hell is that about?
She's stunning and she's brave. What the other thing I wanted to say? You think the war is going to make people? Of course it is. It's making people forget that 2 weeks ago we were in a pandemic.
Yeah, of course they did.
And you're selfish.
They forgot about it in the Super Bowl. They forgot it during the George Floyd riots. This goes on. They forget about it when they get to Florida. They just forget about it.
People just want to watch Buck Rogers, man. Just leave me alone so I can watch Buck Rogers. I don't want to hear war, masks.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Did you look into the WEF, World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab? I was telling you about him.
I know a little bit about them. I don't
What
know
do
why I thought he was a bank.
Well, the thing is that like he comes from a lot of money, or he's got a lot of money behind him. But him personally, he hardly has any money. Like,
He's not a billionaire then.
no. But he's the guy out there saying, you know, Marcone and Trudeau and Putin and who there's just so many people that have been like what he calls part of his world economic young leaders on his, you know, part of his classes and the way whatever he's peddling. He's got all these people on his list of World Economic Forum members.
I know that Macron was a Rothschild banker, and that's not like a conspiracy. That's like a resume point. I also know that the Rothschild bank's been kicked out of Russia. So that's weird to hear him call Putin as well.
Yeah, there's some stuff like they say, well, even though he says Putin's name, maybe it's just because he got up to talk to him once or something. I don't know.
It could be propaganda. You know,
could be propaganda. That's what the propaganda is thick right now, man. So thick.
Yeah, the Russians are laying it on in Russia too. I was talking to one guy online. There's a lot of Russian propaganda about this as well.
Well, also, how true is it? Like, you know, you talk about Ukraine. We got Hunter Biden.
Oh yeah.
So that attaches Joe Biden directly.
Right, John Kerry's son.
Pelosi's one of Pelosi's children. I don't know.
Right.
And all these people tied to Ukraine. It's
Not
like a
just
double-edged
Ukraine,
sword.
But Ukraine oil companies.
Yeah, Earl.
You
like Earl?
Who does that benefit? Who makes out in that deal?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't Ukraine. I can tell you that.
So to me, it's like you got a double-edged sword. You got a straight up, more or less, dictator in Putin going to take over this country that is run by a bunch of oligarchs that are like basically just dirty friggin' money.
Yeah, it's all dirty money. And the reason why it's dirty money is because Russia was in the Soviet Union. It was the main part of the Soviet Union. And they were communist. And you don't get to have any private money. There's no extra money. Everything's accounted for. There's no extra, I don't know where that money went.
Well, dude, according to Klaus Schwab, that's where we're going to end up. Because in his Great Reset, his main thing is you will own nothing and be happy.
Fuck him.
You will own nothing and be happy. He's got books. He's wrote books about this. You know, he's got people, like we said, that are supposedly on his World Economic... Pete Buttigieg is one of those people as well. I come to find out Tulsi Gabbard.
How the hell is fucking Pete Buttigieg one?
I don't... They go and create... What is it? The young...
He was the mayor of South Bend.
They go to these courses or classes for the WEF, World Economic Forum. It's probably like a nice place to go and have a 5-day, you know, bed and breakfast and some you learn stuff about world economics, and you talk with a bunch of other people that think in the same direction. Like, what are we going to do about all these eaters?
Yeah, they eaters.
All these useless eaters. What are we going to do with them?
Well, I mean, that's just it. You know, like the environmental deal. It doesn't say it, but it wants to kill you. That's the quickest way for them to fix the environment, by their views, to kill you, because that way you stop making carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Less people using machines that, you know, isn't benefiting them. Like I don't do anything that benefits them. Everything I do benefits me or my friends or my family, my neighbors.
Well, that's why I'm going to do my best to start a garden this year.
Do it. Victory gardens.
For real, I think that would be the best thing anybody out there could do. I mean, I know a lot of people already have gardens, but if there is a bigger expansion of this crisis and the food, like I said, we got
This is going to be going on for months.
3 weeks. Hopefully it's done by 3 weeks. Like I said, otherwise food prices will be going up dramatically.
Gas prices are about to go skyrocket.
Yeah. So.
And where are we buying that from? The Middle East and Russia. Joyous.
Oh, and also Russia decided to be like, we're going to put fertilizer and what was the other thing? Bug spray, or not bug spray, but when you're farming, you have the basically like Roundup, whatever, to kill all the bugs.
Oh, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
So, anyways, they're putting sanctions on all that because I guess they're a huge exporter. So you got now the stuff to kill the bugs is going to be more expensive. The stuff to grow the seeds is going to be more expensive.
Right.
This stuff's not going to get in the ground at the right time.
Right.
The oil to transport everything's more expensive.
More expensive.
That's not good.
We're fucked. We never should have stopped producing oil.
Well, Biden, just last Wednesday, a couple days before the invasion, decides to cease all drilling and oil permits, or the fuck is it? Yeah, my notes are fucked.
Yeah, he's gonna stop it, sure.
So basically, that's another coinky dink where I'm just like, this stuff can't be that, like, you can't be that good at lining this stuff up just out of.
It's almost intentional, it seems.
That's what I'm saying.
Because where are we going to get this green stuff? Where are we going to buy? We don't make anything. We don't have factories. Drive around. The factories are closed, 90% of them. So where are we going to get it from? We're going to buy it from China.
Yeah, it's
Where are we going to get these solar panels? Yeah, we do have solar panels that are made here and assembled here. We have those companies here.
And why is it
the
that
parts are made over there?
It's such a big deal. The Green New Deal, it's such a big deal. We all need to be behind, but we all need to do it, or you're a bad person. And the world's going to end in 10 years if we don't do this now. It's
right. Well, they got Agenda 2030 on there in the UN, which is a global depopulation plan. Over 200 countries signed on, or about 200.
About 200.
There's only about 200 countries, depending who you ask. Different people recognize different places.
That's what I mean. I think it's a controlled collapse of basically the world economy by elites who want to see a different future.
Sure, they got 10 years of food stored up. They've got guns. They've got bunkers that they can lay low in for 2 years.
They don't give a shit
they
about
don't give a shit.
Truckers or anybody. Here it is. 3 days before this war over in Ukraine, Biden halts all oil drilling leases.
Joyous.
And he also wants to take our border patrol from Texas or New Mexico or wherever.
Arizona,
California, and send him to Ukraine.
Why?
Because he's a moron.
Holy fuck. Really?
Yeah.
We're going to send Border Patrol to Ukraine. To fight the fucking Border Patrol?
He said if they volunteer, he'll send them. He's like that. He's not sending them. He's just like, if they want to volunteer, I'll send them over.
Why didn't he offer to the Marines or somebody who can actually fucking fight? The Rangers.
I don't know, dude.
Somebody who knows how to fight. Someone who's trained to fight a fucking war.
Border
Patrol's trained to stop people getting into the country. They're not trained in firefights. Maybe a little bit, but they're not combat ready.
Hey, I'm just finding the.
What, he give them $600 million? Like Ukraine was a Powerball winner this week? What the fuck was that? What are they going to buy with that? A wing to a fucking jet fighter?
Well, we've already given him $2.4 billion, and now he wants to give him 6.7 more or something like that. No, 2. The notes are here.
Right, but where's that money going to come from? They're going to bring up inflation. They're going to print out more money.
You're right.
To do it, and we're going to be further in the hole for Ukraine.
Not that, I have anything against Ukraine sovereignty or anything like that. I just don't want to die because of it. I don't want you to be
How
poor.
come we're
I don't
so
want my
worried
friends-
about Ukraine's borders and we don't care about our own?
It seems like a plan.
It's like, we're so worried about their sovereignty. And it's just, well, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. That's exactly what's going on over there.
Right.
But here, the media, the U.S. media says you're a piece of shit.
Well, they're a bunch of liars.
You're a piece of shit for wanting a border.
Who's trusted the media?
I know a
trust for
lot
the
of
media-
people. Yeah.
When did that happen? In the 70s, it was don't trust anybody over 30. Suddenly, we're trusting fucking Joe Biden. Like, what is going on?
I don't know. It's propaganda.
I'm sick of fucking people. Trump to Rangers. I'm loving that Trumpers are saying fuck Trump. And fucking, who cares? Come to reality and deal with the situation that's in front of us.
Well, that's the other thing is it's all you can see a million different people being like, this is Trump's fault.
How?
I don't know. I don't know how. They're just like, oh, it's because he was doing everything Putin wanted, so he didn't take it.
Right. He was doing everything Putin wanted, like selling Ukraine arms for the first time. They didn't take it.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So yeah, they're blaming him still. It's his fault for everything. That's one of my favorite things I always love saying to people.
I'm
was
sure
like,
he was responsible for the 2014 annexation of Crimea from Ukraine too.
I love saying that to people. Like you feel like the world started once Trump got elected. That's how you think. The world started when Trump got elected. It's like there's nothing that ever bad happened before that.
They're so fucking deranged, dude. It's time to just stop. What are they gonna do? Blame it next on fucking John Adams? This is John Adams' fault. What the fuck are you talking about? Leave him the fuck alone. Who cares? Get him out of your head. He's messing up your thought pattern. He's got you emotionally thinking nonstop, and you don't do well when you're emotionally thinking. It's nuts. People are nuts. I don't get it. It's like, holy shit. If he's gonna start World War III. Wow, that didn't happen. Pan out too well. I feel okay though, with Biden because Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
He was a bad dude.
The hair on my legs.
What a crack of
I
shit.
rub it. The kids sit on my lap. I love it when kids sit on my lap. Here's the other thing. They only report what you want to know when they want you to know it, like it's programmed.
Right.
Putin's been putting troops on the border of Ukraine for the past year.
This has been, in my head, this has been over since 2014. I don't know what the fuck everybody's flipping out now. This is just a crying after it's 8 years too late after we already said F you to Ukraine. I mean, look at the Crimea. What state is that? It's 10,000 square miles, 10,400 square miles, a little bit more, I think. I'm just going off memory here. That's a lot of land. We didn't do anything about it. We just sat there and gave them blankets. And now they want to cry. It's a little bit too late, man. I'm sorry. But grow up. Like, you should have been thinking about this in 2014 when it happened. This is just the aftermath.
It's it's totally foobar. Everything's pretty foobar right now. I mean, it's not looking good for being like individual countries. This one world government or new world order. You don't got to be that intelligent to like look around and be like, oh yeah, things are pretty much going that way, pretty solid.
Yeah, they're going that pretty solid.
You got all these people in different countries, all these world leaders acting the same, saying the same thing, doing the same thing to their peoples.
Right.
You got media not reporting any of it.
Any of it.
There's massive protests in huge, like Paris and Sydney and all these huge cities all over the world. You don't see a lick of it on primetime news.
No. Dude, primetime news is so bad that they'll report somebody voted something on in Congress, and then you go to congress.org and find out that's not the way that they voted, that they just reported. It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have time to Google things. Not that I really trust Google, but I mean, come on, you got to at least look into it before you start reporting on it. It's bad.
Well, we got a late start, and we are flying through the show. So I'm just gonna pop in. Everybody, relax for a second. Just watch some Rat Wax commercial while we just regroup, and get our thoughts together. Thank you.
All right, we're back.
There's our buddy, Mr. Science.
Hey, Mr. Science. Sitting awful close to you, man.
I know. He's right where I want him.
I feel refreshed after the break.
Yeah. Nice little break every now and then. Bye, Mr. Science. I mean, or we could get your buddy up.
Who's my buddy? Oh yeah, that's him.
That's Black Hitler.
That's Black Hitler.
I mean, blackface Hitler.
My God, he went all out for that, didn't he?
Mr. Science.
What the hell was he thinking?
What was he thinking? I guess this wasn't the only time he's dressed up.
No, he's done it more times than he can remember, according to him.
That's what he said. I mean, he is rocking out there. This dude, can you imagine growing up?
He's not trying to impersonate anybody or anything.
Can you imagine? I mean, how many secret societies do you think he's in?
He's got to be in a few, right?
I imagine he's got to be in one, at least.
At least. I don't know. Nixon called him the future prime minister when he was like 6 or something.
Really?
Yeah. Or maybe even younger, because Nixon was out in, what, 74? 73?
I mean, look at
he
his...
was born in 91. I mean, 71, sorry.
I got to make some sound effects for that and, like, maybe animate it a little bit.
That is just pure ignorance, man.
Holy shit. He's like, la, la, la. Oh, man.
My God.
Dude is... That's Prime Minister of Canada.
I know. I'm not going to, condemn him to hell or anything over it, but...
Have
a little tact, a little class. My God.
Mr. Science.
How does that make Black Canadians feel, I wonder? It can't be good. Right?
I mean, he's supposed to be, I think, wasn't he was doing Indian, really? That looked like a...
He used to dress up like, he used to do that at basketball games. Put a banana down his pants.
I've heard that, too. Old banana pants.
I mean, that one, he looks like he's in some kind of Arab or Persian garb. I'm not sure, but... Could be some kind of Indian garb. I don't know.
I mean, we need... The reason we're doing this show is because we got to have independent... And I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this lately. Independent journalism has to take over. And the people I've seen talking about, like, how ignorant the main people that watch mainstream media are, the only way to fight it is really to get out there and start telling, like, go watch people like Russell Brand, Tim Pool.
Oh, yeah, Russell Brand. He's great.
Paul Joseph Walker, Jimmy Dore, Awaken with JP.
Jimmy Dore's good.
You like Awaken with JP?
I don't know if I know that one.
He's the red-haired dude that does, like, the fake reports.
Oh, yeah, he's funny.
He's hilarious. But
it took me a minute to realize the first time I saw it that it was fake. I was like, what is going on? Is this real? Like,
Brandon Straka, he's back. He's
That's
sounding the
walk away
alarm.
movement?
Yeah, he's hashtag walk away. He's sounding the alarm right now that everything people were scared about with the Canadian truckers being their finances cut off, being trucks taken away, no recourse. You're just totally cut out of society. He's like, that's happening to all the January 6ers that are still in jail now without any habeas corpus or anything. Right. Their freedoms have just been taken away, and he was one of them. They said they cut off a lot of his money sources. They just took it away. They were like, confiscated. Sorry, bud. He's gonna be coming out and telling more about his story soon, but he didn't. That kid, is like, he was hardcore left until like 1 year into Trump's presidency, when he started seeing through the bullshit. And he was just like, oh, wow, they were lying to me.
Yeah.
And he woke the fuck up, started that At Walk Away movement. He had, I don't know, at least 100,000 people signed up to his At Walk Away movement at one time. I haven't looked at the numbers, but he had a lot of videos on his YouTube page. They just fucking got rid of that shit. They're like, this isn't what we need people seeing.
People, yeah. Absolutely. My awakening thing happened, like, first it was Bush with it was the auto bailout, when he decided that the government should form a symbiotic relationship with private enterprise. I was like, holy shit, that's fascism. And then Barack Obama did it with the banks, as if they needed fucking money. And I was like, fuck this. I'm done.
Oh, it's bad. Mm-hmm.
That's when I started I was in all kinds of parties. I was a Whig, modern Whig for a little while. I thought maybe I could take over the modern Whigs.
What could we name a new political party in the U.S.?
Well, we'd have to have an ideology at first. Some kind of.
I find most of the names of political parties are hilarious. In like a Monty Python way. The People's Republic of, something like that.
The Israeli People's Front.
Yeah, the front of the, like the one I was just telling you about for the Ukrainian president, servant of the people.
Right.
The servant of the People's Party.
That's a little scary.
That's a little scary. It was a television show.
No, it's been done before. Other world leaders have called themselves server.
Wow. So this could happen to the United States if we're not careful. Like, we're going to break apart like Russia, USSR. We're going to break apart, and then there's going to be a war 20 years later, 30 years later down the road to try and reunite the USA.
Right. Ron Perlman was calling for a breakup of the states.
Hellboy?
Yeah. That fucking idiot.
That big fucking jawed
break
moron.
Break up the states? Are you out of your mind?
Well, it really comes down to the feelings thing. It's like they can't take their feelings being attacked by, uneducated conservatives.
Well, they're emotionally thinking then if it's their feelings, and that doesn't serve them well, the critical thinking.
And the other thing is, like, half of these people, or maybe even more, have never even left their own state, let alone the country. So they have no point of reference to figure out all the freedoms you've been given your whole life.
Right.
Allow you to think that way.
Right. You can think however you want.
In some of these other countries, you ain't gonna get that luxury.
No, definitely not. Probably bad old.
I was talking to this one artist lately, and she, far left. Mm-hmm. I didn't get like the full context of what she was, like how she felt, but for the most part, she was amazed at how disrespected she felt when she went to Saudi Arabia.
Amazed, huh?
Like, it's just made up stories, like bullshit.
That's what
she was supposed to be in control of a project, an art project over there, and they're just like, you're not in control of anything.
Fucking way.
Yeah.
That's just it. They think every place is like here.
Yep. They're so bored because they have all this money and they don't know what to do.
Right,
so I'm gonna go be a part of a cause, and I'm gonna say that white men are bad and our country is the big devil.
Right.
And then we do this. This is the time where you're supposed to be like, oh, our country is doing fucked up shit. It's just not what you're being told it's doing. It's the stuff behind the scenes that got Ukraine in the position.
Absolutely.
That's the fucked up shit. What you should be pissed about
Absolutely.
the country doing.
Absolutely. I mean,
but all those people are being like, war.
Yeah, they're fucking nuts. You want to go to war with the world's biggest nuclear power? One that we've actually,
I'm just a peaceful Democrat.
One that we know. I know. I mean, look at what's going on the thruway here. You can't get on the thruway unless you pay a bank
through the state.
Through the state, yeah. You got to pay them in electric unless you want to mail it in, But you don't have the same.
Well, everything now is just we take a picture. There's no more booths. You just drive on.
Right, exactly.
We take a picture of your private property.
Right. They take a picture of your private property and they want you to pay them with electronic cash, but the government doesn't provide electronic currency, so I have to go through a private enterprise, a bank, in order to pay them.
Not for long. But they're going to come out with a digital currency, I bet, not before a few years.
I bet you're right.
It's already on and it's going to be tied to your identity. You're not going to, some of the shit I've seen, like they're talking about programmable money. Like I was talking about the NFTs and its programmable artwork. Some of this stuff they're talking about is programmable money. So Jimmy Dore was reporting on this. He's like, they're going to be able to tell you what you can buy with your money.
Yes.
It's like you can go to the store and try and buy whatever the fuck you want, but you're only going to be able to buy what we allow you to buy because you got
control the currency.
You got high cholesterol. You can't buy pancakes.
Yep. Whatever it is.
Whatever the state decides.
You bought too many of those last weeks. And that's where it's really going to, the Second Amendment can easily get infringed by that. You bought too much ammo.
Mm-hmm.
We consider you a threat. You have too many weapons. We consider you a threat.
I mean, we're going full on conspiracy today, so let's just keep it rolling.
I heard some crazy conspiracies. It was definitely a good week in the crazy conspiracy.
Oh, give it to us. Come on, sock it to us.
I got to remember them, but I remember wanting to remember them.
Besides the digital currency, there's...
The White House is rigged to blow up. That was one of them.
You heard that?
Yeah, that they wanted to blow up a bunch of important buildings or whatever.
Who's they?
The deep state.
The deep state.
Government, whatever.
Oh, man.
They're claiming that there's a blast wall around the White House. I'm like, what?
A blast wall?
No, Brandon. It was pretty far out there. They're claiming that you could see the test explosions inside. I'm like, oh, my God. Why would they even test it there?
Oh, I think I've seen something similar to that. That was like weeks ago, though. They were like saying, look at the windows. It was like a black video or dark video. And they're like, you see it there and you see it there. And then you see it there. And then you see it there. It's like they're going testing something or I don't know.
No, you're right, though. Yeah, that was a pretty crazy one I heard. I'm like, what?
I'm just talking about like this, the way we're being marched down a road to digital enslavement, a technocracy. You're going to have, just like in China, they're trying to spread the credit score system or the social credit system, the Black Mirror. Right. Everybody that's seen Black Mirror, it's like that stuff is coming and it's not good. It's not good for, like, if you have nieces, nephews, if you have children, you think they're going to grow up with a creative expression? No, they're going to be told what to thought.
A lot of social pressure.
What to think.
It's complete social, but it's totalitarianism.
Yeah. And it's like, you can be creative as long as it's this. Right. Oh, you don't think, I mean, people have never, watched sci-fi movies before. Jesus Christ.
Orson Welles ring a bell now. Yeah.
So anyways, I'm just the crazy uncles are being turned or being found to be correct. That's what's happening here.
What I saw something recently. What's the difference between the truth and a conspiracy?
Go ahead. I think
About 6 weeks. At this point, it used to take years.
Well, I mean, it was during COVID. It was about a year. You know, it's like you can't talk about the lab leak. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're booted off of friggin' Facebook. It's like, well, I was one of those people. And people are telling me to shut up. I'm crazy. Oh, well, look, I'm right again.
I didn't have a lot of confrontation that way. I was able to say stuff for some reason. Maybe it's the way I phrased it. I don't know. But Facebook didn't find it amusing.
No.
And this is how fucked up Facebook is. I've been flagged for things and then have them come up in my memories and Facebook ask me if I want to post them again. What the hell, Facebook? You flagged me the first time. Now you're asking me if I want to post it again?
Yeah, that's just the algorithm. They don't. The algorithm doesn't know what it does.
Here's something I see, and it's something to look out for. Civil unrest in our neighbors. We've already seen it in Canada. I might see it in Mexico and Cuba.
Well, there was that story out of Portland with the Antifa people getting shot by the person that come out the house and was just like.
I'm talking about our neighbors, though. Not in the U.S. I'm talking about our neighbors next to us.
Mexico?
Mexico, yeah.
What about a civil unrest down there?
Yeah, well, we've seen it here. We've seen it in Canada. It's
yeah, that just happening more is not good. It's destabilization.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also the classic, map towards is just like confusion amongst, like we were talking about with propaganda. The pre-war setup is to confuse the people of the population.
Yeah, so they don't know what to believe.
So they don't know what to believe.
It happens in the beginning of every major war.
Mm-hmm.
It's the psychological warfare part. The reason why I say Mexico, it borders us, so that would destabilize us. We have a hard time controlling the southern borders. Any civil unrest in Mexico will only cause more refugees to come up or people trying to relocate into America, immigrants. A long time ago, there was this guy named Kalergi. He was half Japanese and half Austrian. And he came up with this idea to, what's the word I'm looking for? He wanted to bring down the Western world, particularly the Catholic Church, and he spoke about it a lot. And he wanted to do it by sending refugees into Western countries. People that had different cultural beliefs, were ethnically different, had different political beliefs, came from a different background than the place that they were going to.
So he wanted to, what was his angle again? To destroy?
He was an Austrian Japanese who favored Japan over Austria, and he wanted to destroy the Catholic Church in the Western world. He came up with this idea to use Western military power to cause refugees to go into Europe and the Western world, and that way start to break down the fabric of Western culture. He talked about it a lot, and a lot of people, didn't approve of his ideas. Then he wrote a book, and I think he mentioned in the book, I never read the book. I only know about the book because that's the one thing that they cite as like conspiracy. But it's also, his ideas were also in other people's diaries saying that he talked about it. So it wasn't just something that he wrote about once. But he was a nobleman from Austria. He came up with this thing called the Kalergi Plan, which is now some kind of like white supremacist conspiracy theory, even though he was half Japanese. Can't even look it up anymore. I mean, you might be able to look it up and say that, yeah, that's been labeled a white supremacist thing. Which kind of shook me. I didn't really believe in the plan, but once they put white supremacy, I'm like, what? Anyway, we've been seeing that since 2015.
The destruction of culture through multicultural
intersectional
means.
Immigration. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that people are coming to realize, where we have an American culture, and most most other countries, they all revolve around their culture. The thing with like Italy or Russia, or they're all similar people. So were we talking about this recently?
I don't think so, but
So they're all from the same heritage or similar people. But in America, we're not. We're the melting pot. So our American culture is Easter and Christmas and Thanksgiving, and all those things are being attacked.
yeah, they're attacking.
So it's like you're attacking American culture.
You still do Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
What about your family? They do Thanksgiving?
Yeah. I mean, everybody, maybe I got some relatives that are like, oh my God, it's so bad to do Thanksgiving because you're Native American. And it's like, you're just,
Brandon's Iroquois, if you don't know. Well, part Iroquois, at least. Half.
I was trying to keep that as my card to hide it. So if anybody ever comes at me, I can just smack them in the head with it.
I blew up your spot. Sorry.
I can just smack them in the head with Well, here's the other thing is where they're like, we need to give the land back, and we got to do this. It's like all the ancestors that, white people that destroyed everything got to pay. And I was like, how many friggin' Native American tribes conquered other Native American tribes? It's like, how far back are we going to go?
People are people.
How far back are we going to be like that tribe defeated that tribe? So they were mean to them. So now we're going to have to friggin', make that right as well. And it just goes on and on, and on through time.
We get the Neanderthals.
The point is, we are here now.
Yep.
We have a pretty good country that, other than, like I said before, the real bad stuff is what we should be upset about, the stuff behind the scenes that creates positions for Ukraine to be attacked. And we just basically set them up for it. And we're like, yeah, well, we got your back. Go ahead, get over there.
Right.
It was like the meme you sent me. We're like, you have my sword. Go ahead and fight. And UK's like, you have my shield. Go ahead and fight.
Yeah.
And Ukraine walks over to Russia and gets their ass kicked. Those are the real things we should be upset about them with America. But overall, is it the best experiment in human history? It is, right?
Right, as far as I know.
There's been no other country like this in the history of human that we know about, like Atlantis. You want to talk about conspiracy?
That's the only one I could think of.
We could talk about Atlantis. We could talk about forgotten history.
I mean, Athens was supposed to be that way, right? But it never really quite was.
Mount Olympus.
Rome was supposed to be that way.
So anyways, we're living in a country that is like one of the greatest in the history of man, even though there's darkness in its history.
Oh, yeah.
That's no reason to tear it down and be like part of its demise.
Well, that's just it.
When you have it so good, you are allowed to be that stupid.
I don't know anybody who would tell me that their identity held them back from doing what they wanted to do.
Right.
I don't know any woman who told me I couldn't do this because I'm a woman and I never did it because I was a woman. I never achieved it.
Now, people hold themselves back.
Right. I never met a black person who said I couldn't do that. I didn't achieve my goals because I was black. That doesn't mean that racism and sexism don't exist. They clearly do. But it's not holding people back from doing what they want to do with their lives.
Not in this country.
Becoming what they want to be.
There are rules to everything or exceptions to every rule. But for the most part in this country, you have the opportunity to do whatever the hell you want.
Do what you want.
You can become a gazillionaire. You can just sit on the couch and smoke weed all day. You
could help people all day if you wanted to. You could do whatever you want.
You could, you help people that in some countries you were not allowed to help.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Nope. You weren't allowed to help the Kurds in Iraq.
You probably, I don't know how bad it is against like people LGBTQ. You're not allowed to help them in some countries.
Right. You're not. They're not even allowed to be public in some countries.
But America's the worst. Just remember that. America. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the truth is that the vast majority of countries that are on the planet today were born out of blood. Like
most countries were born out of war. Not every single one of them on the map was, but 99% were born from war, one time or another. And I can't forget what philosopher said, if they're born from war, does that mean that war is the natural state of a nation? Could be.
Could be. Could be.
Could be.
I mean, we're proving it.
Yeah. But, I mean, these nations are always in competition with one another, We compete against Canada, and Canada's the closest socially,
They're like,
culturally
they're
to
like
us.
our brother or sister.
Yeah, they're definitely
They're
like
a
our
sibling.
brother. That's one thing about Canada. Like, if a Canada was ever invaded, say like in the Northwest Territory, the invaders would face bands of armed Floridians, militia fighting for Canada. The same thing would happen here. Canadians would come here and fight for us.
Yeah, it's
They're still fighting about Anglophone and Francophone and Anglosphere and Francosphere up there. Like, English versus French.
Really?
Oh, yeah, they still have that competition going on up there. It's still a power struggle.
I think that's where a lot of people who are upset with our country and upset or who have been brainwashed into this whole, identity politics thing is they just have forgotten that we're more or less just animals with a couple extra things wrapped around that lizard brain to give us a higher functional of learning.
Right.
Higher function of learning. And for the most part, though, we are going to regress when threatened to do something. And that goes for people all the way up to the national, global level. Countries are going to attack other countries, defend themselves, and do what they got to do.
Right.
Just like any animal would in the animal kingdom.
Right. It's about survival. And when people have to survive, they'll do things that are against their comfy ideology. Their ideology when they're comfy.
Well, the people that are spouting most of that nonsense are some of the worst offenders.
Oh, yeah.
They're some of the worst offenders. That emotion that gets inside of them and then comes out without any, governor or idol or restraint to focus it in the correct way.
Absolutely.
It's just rage.
It's just like when someone's going through a hard time in their life. Maybe somebody died, they got dumped or something, and they're demoralized. And when they're demoralized, they're emotional and they can't think clearly. All right, and people try to cheer them up and say, "Oh, come on, you're going to be all right. You're going to make it through this. You're going to look back at this and laugh." And usually, people do look back and laugh because they get out of that emotional state. But when you're in that emotional state, it's hard to get out of, and it's hard to see clearly. Like when you get dumped, you think, "Oh my God, I'm never going to find anybody else. I'm a loser." Blah, 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 blah. Not seeing all the good things you have, or even that person wasn't right for you, or whatever. You're just so stuck in the ego and the emotion that you can't see clearly, and that happens in politics as well.
Or Justin Trudeau.
He's a piece of shit. Fuck that guy.
Well, I mean, just look at his sad face.
Fuck him. Fucking sad face. Holy shit. I would take Stephen Harper back. It's none of my business. It's not my country, but...
You don't know nothing about Canadian politics.
Not a whole lot.
Hockey's just not your thing.
I'm not into hockey, no. I think but put that fucker in the penalty box. Put Trudeau in the penalty box.
Trudeau goes into the box, folks.
Actually, this whole event in Canada, the truckers thing, is the first major political movement I remember happening in Canada in my lifetime. I remember the 80s when they got the extra independence or whatever.
I heard there was a couple bad spots. I was watching some dude from Canada recently talk about the history. He was writing something about the Civil War in America, but he was talking about Canada's history, and he said there was a couple bad points in the 90s and in the 80s or somewhere around there where it was close to
Civil War.
Yeah.
I know that they've had problems with Quebecois separatists sometimes. I know that happened in the 70s. There's a lot of people in Quebec who want to be an independent sovereign nation, free from Canada. They can join Vermont.
Why can't we have nice things?
I don't know.
I guess people forget those early lessons that you're taught as a kid. Yeah, those tried and true lessons.
You just run around and grab stuff and smash it on the ground, and you have this couple nice countries in North America, and it's just going to hell in a handbasket.
We got a bunch. I mean, Mexico's nice. Mexico's a great place.
I mean, they got pretty bad. They got some issues.
They got some issues
more than Canada, and
Sure.
but yeah, it depends on how you look at it. I guess we all got issues.
They're a rich country. They're top of the line equipment, military. They got all the equipment. They're better off than most countries.
True. Yeah.
Brazil's another country that has a lot of assets, a lot of wealth.
Oh, that was the other. The president of Argentina, I guess, is one of the FEM or World Economic Forum members as well.
I can see that. You've been to Argentina.
Yes.
What'd you think?
I think that it's a beautiful place, except that there's barbed wire on the top of every house and every wall. There's bars on every window. Well, at least where I was. And
so criminal element then.
Well, guns are illegal,
All right.
but the only people that have guns are criminals.
Well, that's what happens when you make them illegal.
I don't think people realize that. So
it's fucking no brainer.
So beautiful, beautiful country. What I liked about it was there's like, maybe it's coming up now, but there's law and lawyers aren't a thing down there really. So it's like if you fall and bust your ass, it's on you. You're not going to get sued. You're not going to sue anybody. Nobody's going to do shit about it. You're going to you were a dummy. You got friggin' fucked up because you fell on the ice.
That's not necessarily a bad way.
No, I was looking at it like, oh, this country's like, to me, it seemed like if I was watching an old movie from like the 40s or the 30s, I was like, this is what it must have been like, because you could just walk around, like people were partying, like people, just imagine Seaman Park, like every weekend packs up with all the people in town, and they're all just barbecuing and drinking together and smoking, and it's just like an afternoon of partying. That's what's going on down in Argentina.
Right.
Is that people just walk into the parks and they're like, this is for us. This is why it's here.
Right. That's
and
true.
we're all just going to chill and hang out and be social. And it's, to me, like I said, it was like being I would love to go back.
It's a rich country. I mean,
it's like being in a cooler version of America almost.
Years ago, I looked into,
except for the bars, the barbed wire, the guns.
So some crime.
Yeah, like if you're going to the bank, like that's a known thing. At least where I was, it's like you never go to the bank alone, because if you're going to the bank alone, you're probably going to get held up with a gun.
Right. Huh. I've never heard that before. I've only heard good things about Argentina for the most part.
They got some nice colors on their flag.
Yeah. Similar to Ukraine.
Similar
colors to Ukraine. I've also heard, what is that? Right above Argentina, Monte Radio, whatever.
Monte.
I think it's Uruguay. What is that, Uruguay? I think that's Uruguay.
Where's my damn phone?
I've heard good things about Uruguay. I think that's Uruguay, right? In between.
Wow, what year is this thing? How's that?
Yeah, Uruguay. I've heard good things about Uruguay as well. It's particularly the capital city of Monte Radio, whatever. I think that's what it's pronounced, Monte Radio.
What countries have you been to and found them beautiful or nasty?
Well, I thought that Mexico was beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. You went and saw the pyramids. Well, which ones?
Chichen Itza, chicken pizza. Whatever.
Chicken pizza. He went and saw the chicken pizza mountain.
The cow. I wandered in Belize when I was down there.
My sister and brother-in-law went to Belize. They loved it. They want to maybe end up moving there someday.
They are blowing glass there, so it used to be British Honduras, I think.
It was British. It was.
Yeah, it was British.
British Honduras, you say, eh?
Yeah, I believe it was British Honduras at once. The weird thing about Belize is I just wandered in.
You didn't get deported.
There wasn't a sign.
There wasn't even a sign.
There wasn't even a sign. Like we're on a dirt road, and the next thing I know, it started to get paved, and then there was a little bit of a village, and there was a gas station. We needed to get gas, and I gave them pesos, and I got back doleros. I got back American dollars, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" He's like, "You're in Belize, bro." I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Walked a little too far down the road.
Drove too far down the road. Yeah, there was absolutely no security. None.
Wow.
They don't even have that big of a border. I mean, it can't be much more than a couple 100 miles long, but there was dirt roads coming out of the jungle, just going into nowhere, you know. And you'd be in the jungle for 30, 40 miles, and all of a sudden there's a little village. You're like, whoa, how do these people survive out here? But they have stuff. I don't know where the hell they get it. You know, I remember I bought a couple Cokes because they sold warm Cokes in this one little village. And as soon as you buy the Cokes, the kids come and take them from me. And you just give them to them because the kids really want the Coke, you know.
You're such a nice guy.
You don't want a warm Coke at fucking 110 degrees, you know. You just don't want it. You wouldn't even drink it. Like, you just did it just because that's the way they make their money, and you're there. And you don't want to get killed, so you buy some Cokes and say, hey.
So here's another story I wanted to get to before we wrap things up here, which I think we'll go a little long because we started a little late. There's reports from the Daily Mail about COVID being tinkered in a lab. This could be almost definite proof. The scientists find the virus contains a tiny chunk of DNA that matches a sequence patented by Moderna 3 years before the pandemic.
Ooh. I mean, there's so much.
The researchers say it's a 1 in 3 trillion chance that COVID developed that code naturally.
Wow. That's some odds, huh?
You think that might have anything to do with Moderna's massive loss in stocks this past week?
I hope it does. I don't fucking trust those bastards. They're Big Pharma. When did everyone get behind Big Pharma all of a sudden? That's another thing. We went from bitching about Big Pharma.
You can't speak into the top. You got to speak into the front or the side.
We went from bitching about Big Pharma. You had Bernie Sanders out there every weekend chastising Big Pharma, warning about Big Pharma, and the next thing we know, we went to straight up back in Big Pharma with the government. Every government across the fucking world formed a symbiotic relationship with private enterprises, Brandon.
So, also happening, Moderna CEO deleted his Twitter this week.
I saw that. Yes.
And so they lost $140 billion in their stocks. Just so happens that their code was found in this virus too. It just so happens
that their patent was found in there, huh?
Their fucking patent. It sounds to me like this guy's running for his life.
Well, if he's running for his life, he must have done something. And if he did what we think he did or might have done, I don't know. I'm not a health expert. I'm not a medical expert. I'm not a virologist. Don't take this advice from me.
This is not financial advice.
I'm just spitballing here. But maybe he did something that he should be killed for. I think they're all quislings. I think they're all in line with the Chinese Communist Party. They're doing it for profit. Because China has cheap enough labor. Can't compete with it. They got the most people in the world.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is that, the whole warp speed project by Trump was part of all of this Moderna shit and Pfizer. So, and he actually came out and said that so much as like, oh yeah, of course they want to give you shots. You know, they're going to make a lot of money. It doesn't make any sense for them not to want to give you shots.
Sure.
At the same time, you know, he's the reason why it was fucking set in motion, and he like got rid of all the roadblocks it could happen so fast. Sounds to me like he could have been in on it too.
Could have been in on it too.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the difference right now. Because I know a lot of conservatives or Republicans who would say fuck Trump at the drop of a hat when he does something wrong.
But but not on the other side.
Not on the other side.
No.
This week, I saw somebody in a post on Facebook. I'm not going to mention who, but they were going on about this list of stuff that they allegedly, I guess, or apparently believe that conservatives believe. And I read it, and I was like, I don't know anybody who thinks all these things at once. And they were going on about these conservatives must really be in a bubble. And I'm like, I can't think of one person that has these beliefs in a row. Where is this bubble? I think you're in the bubble, bro. I didn't say that, but I remember thinking that, like, what? Like,
the bubble is real over on the other side, where I feel like most people are kind of like in the middle, where, well, not most people, but the vocal, like you're saying, Facebook, Twitter, these people are such a minority and they think they're the majority.
Oh, yeah.
And,
well, that's like what Reagan said, the silent majority, right?
Well, the people in the middle, yeah. There's a lot of Democrats, like that whole walk away movement, people that saw through the bullshit with Trump. There's people even now, like, we can look at Biden's approval ratings, and they're so fucking bad. And he's supposed to be the most got the most votes ever. Popular president of all time.
Right. His approval ratings hit ahead. They were at rock bottom numbers when this Ukraine thing started. I don't think the Ukraine thing is going to help him at all.
No, I think he was planning it was going to help him. I think he's hoping it's going to help him, but he's so stupid he doesn't realize that only the bubble we were just talking about, that 3% of Twitter followers that all are fucking, you know, eating farts out of each other's assholes, they're the only ones that are going to support him. And be like, yeah, let's go to war.
I don't know, because it depends who the Republicans run. If they run Trump, then I think a lot of people won't vote for Trump. Because when I go on Facebook, like we were saying before, there's people blaming Trump for this Ukraine thing, and I'm like, it didn't happen when he was in office.
Well, who's blaming him though? Is it people in the middle, or is it people on the right? I think that mainly the people on the left are blaming Trump.
I guess I got a lot of lefties on my Facebook page.
The what I see is a lot, like I saw some propaganda on Bill Maher the other night because he's been turning around slowly.
Yes, he has been.
But it looked like they gave him some marching orders the other night, and we're like, you better read this because we need to fight this this switch of all these people and this what are they calling it? A red wave is going to happen.
Wave, yeah. 2020.
They're like, we're seeing it and it's not good. So they made him say like it was more of the reverse psychology where they're like, oh, we got to be, now that the people are not, you know, it seems like they finally are getting over Trump, and we need to be nice to them because we need to allow ourselves to have conversations with them. And it's like, why did you stop having conversations with them? There's a good question.
They got brainwashed to stop being
exactly.
They stopped acting as they were.
Mm-hmm.
Because they believed that a large extensional threat was happening, and they wanted to combat it. But all the things that they feared didn't happen. It was just all hearsay or bullshit, whichever one. Doesn't mean that everything that Trump did was
on the up and up. Yeah. No, he did plenty of bullshit.
The thing that got me was it was just like when I saw the speeding, sped up footage of Russian tanks entering Ukraine. It's already bad. You don't need to exaggerate it.
Yeah.
It's already bad. So just let it go on itself. When you exaggerate it, it makes me not trust you and not believe you. Right? And I remember Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. And the next thing I know, My friends were getting arrested for doing stupid shit to Donald Trump signs and whatever.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, this isn't going high. This is going low. You're going lower. Like, if he's so bad, just let it happen. Stop making shit up.
Well, that's the whole media ratings numbers dropping through the floor, and attacking Joe Rogan and saying don't do your own research and don't watch YouTube because there's independent journalists on there and they're, they can't do what we do.
Right.
We're so smart.
We got all these people.
Yeah, we have newsrooms and people that can look stuff up better than other people can look up stuff. I went to journalism school.
Right. Well, you're also working for a corporation that controls what the fuck you say.
Yeah, and has gotten every dollar they fucking from Pfizer and other, every commercial you run is just a drug company commercial. Or from fucking Raytheon or something.
Right. What was the big one? Monsanto. Everyone was afraid of Monsanto. I mean, I'm sure they're still out there doing bad shit, but
they're trying to patent. They run so many farmers out of business because they have a whole team of lawyers to just basically sue farmers.
Oh yeah.
Because if part of Monsanto's genetics get into their crops, they have right to their crops. They have rights to their friggin' crops because it's, the pollen got over there. You're growing our stuff, so now we're going to sue you for friggin' stealing our genetic fucking patent.
That's so absurd.
So there's corporate America.
Oh, they're in full swing right now.
It's just disgusting.
That's why they're pushing for war. War is a racket. That was Smedley Butler. He beat the Nazis. He went there and shot guns at Nazis and beat them. And he said war is a racket. He's responsible for the freedom of Italy and Sicily. He was one of the greatest generals we ever had. But after the war, when the veterans didn't get paid, he stuck up for them and said, hey, you got to pay these people. They bled for you. You're not going to renege on this. You're going to pay them. And he wrote a book called War is a Racket. And that's basically what it was. It was the book that, Eisenhower obviously read it because he was underneath Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the books or one of the pieces of literature that inspired the Congressional Military Industrial Complex speech, his outgoing speech. Eisenhower's outgoing speech when he warned about the industrial military complex. And
Eisenhower basically come out and said, look, I'm sorry.
Right.
This is what's going on.
I couldn't defend you from this. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know about this. And the thing about Eisenhower is they had to make a rank up for him. There's 4 made up ranks in U.S. military history.
Made up?
Yeah, George Washington. He's got the highest rank at the U.S. military you can achieve.
And what was that?
General of the Armies?
General of the Armies.
I think that's what they call it.
Okay.
But you can never reach that rank again. And then there's 3 guys that are tied. There's Blackjack Pershing, who was the main U.S. general in World War I. Eisenhower, who was Allied commander of European theater. And then there was MacArthur, who was the Allied commander of the Pacific theater. They made up titles for all of them because they were higher than any other rank had, or had a higher command. Those guys, Eisenhower and MacArthur, they were still, especially MacArthur, they were in control of the most destructive forces that the world has ever seen up to date, especially MacArthur. He had the bomb. And these guys warned about it. They warned about the military-industrial complex. MacArthur actually said we're going to be fighting space aliens someday. I don't know why.
He did?
Yeah. That was after he was wasn't a general anymore, but Truman didn't like what he was doing. Turned out he was right.
Wow.
Truman was wrong.
Well, we got Space Force now, so.
The weird thing about Truman is that he came up out of nowhere. Henry Wallace left because he got exposed as a communist, and it was just easier to settle down. He had a big dispute with
Father Charles Coughlin. Father Charles Coughlin. Did we talk about him last time?
I don't think so.
Father Charles Coughlin was a Catholic priest. I think he was born in Canada, but he was an American. He became involved in politics. He was a self-professed fascism. He had a radio show and a magazine. His magazine and radio show were titled Social Justice. He referred to his audience as warriors. He's actually the one who popularized the phrase social justice in North America. And he said that, he was a big supporter of FDR. And I can't remember what turned him against FDR, but eventually he went against FDR. And not so much FDR, but Henry Wallace. He had a real bug up his ass for Vice President Henry Wallace, and he said, hey, Henry Wallace is a communist. And then in the middle of the war, it started to come out that Henry Wallace did have some communist connections, so he resigned. Truman comes up out of nowhere. I think he was from Iowa. He was in Congress, either a congressman or senator, but he comes up out of nowhere, becomes vice president, wins the war at the end, drops the bomb, gets involved in Korea, and then he leaves politics and goes on to manage a grocery store. That's what he did after becoming president.
Managed a grocery store.
Truman managed a grocery store after leaving the White House.
That is trippy.
Yeah.
That's trippy.
You think
bro.
he just would have wrote a couple books or something? Like, he won the war. You could have done something else, dude.
Wow.
But
I got an interesting story, but go ahead, continue.
There's got to be a reason why he just chose to be a supermarket manager.
It was probably to discover something about society, like the way society works. There's so many things to discover on the micro level versus like
You think Truman was on some kind of journey of self-discovery as a store
No,
manager?
not like that. But I was just this story I have was about it's about education actually, and our schools.
Gone the shit.
But let's take a look at it as let's treat the school sector like in an analogy that it's a grocery store.
All right.
And this is from a man that is, where's his name? Nick Freitas? I think it's Freitas. I don't know, but
Freitas.
I don't have my glasses.
All right.
Freeai. I don't know something. Yeah. EIEIO. Let's see.
And Bingo was his name.
The local authorities are now responsible for managing all grocery stores. He's like, let's take a look and just think of it if the federal, state, and local authorities were responsible of managing all grocery stores through the country based on taxpayer support system, which all citizens are compelled to contribute to regardless of whether or not you shop at your assigned grocery store. From that point on, you will be assigned a government grocery store based off your address. Oh, and you will no longer shop for groceries per se. You will be provided a collection of groceries based on the caloric index, which has been established by Congress. If there are certain items you would like to see in your grocery bag, which are not currently provided, you can lobby your representatives. Adding items will be analyzed by the Theoretical Committee for a Healthy Citizenry, which will determine whether the desired item meets the health standards established by Congress. Anyone who does not register with the grocery store must either show an alternative source of nourishment or potentially face civil and criminal penalties. Does anyone think this system will perform well? This is his question to like people he's trying to get the vote for him. And he's like, well, it's the same system you got for your friggin' education.
I could see that.
And he's like, we need to rethink how education is provided.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, how long have you been hearing that in this country, like, the education system is broke?
Mm-hmm.
That's been going on my whole life. I mean, people have been saying everything is broke in this country my whole life. Except for the military. That's the one thing you haven't heard. Maybe when I was younger, Vietnam syndrome or whatever. And then there was the 80s.
Nothing was broke. Everything was perfect.
Everything was working. We were going to beat the Russians. It was going to make the 50s look like the Depression, you know.
Yeah, Buck Rogers was on.
Buck Rogers, Lost Boys.
Oh, man.
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. What a great movie.
It was good.
It had,
It's hard to believe it's a George Lucas film.
did he produce it? He didn't direct it.
I think he did. He already wrote it. I don't know. He was heavily involved in that movie, though.
I have to look that up. Here's another thing to get to about the war and what you were talking about, how Biden probably naively thinks it's going to help his polls.
He might.
But
Wag the
CNN, MSNBC, Fox didn't need the help. But right now, CNN's like loving the war.
Sure.
They're like, people are watching us again.
Sure. Yep.
And so they're off the hook right now. They're like, okay, we can fucking take a breath and wipe the sweat off our brow. People are watching us. Big Pharma is off the hook because nobody's paying attention what's going on with the COVID. And what I just talked about before, they're friggin' Moderna having a patented technology found in the virus. Biden probably thinks he's off the hook as well because his polls are so fucking low, and now he has a war to lead,
right,
or to look tough guy about.
People are kind of. I saw people saying Biden's uniting the world. He's not even uniting NATO. Germany's not even sure if they're going to want to be a part of this. It's ridiculous, man.
Germany's scumbags, man. I mean, I got German friends. If you're out there and you're listening, I'm not saying you're a scumbag. You're awesome. But the people that are like buying, your government's buying all this oil from Russia.
Yeah.
And then they want other people to protect them, which costs money.
Yep.
So they're going off of both. They're playing both sides.
They're buying the bullets that are going to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they don't expect to help out at all on,
I mean, the international community's been up Germany's ass for a long time.
They're smart.
Well, I mean, Germany was beat. That's what happens.
I'm sure they're running that card. They're like, look, hey, you don't want us to have weapons.
Yeah, sure.
Go fuck yourself.
Right. It's weird because like Austria, which has similarities to Germany, as far as I understand. I've never been to either country. They were on the other side of the curtain the whole time. They have a totally different experience. But they have problems right now of Middle East immigration.
Immigration all over the world's causing problems, like this massive migration, really, of, like you're saying, it's a good way to destabilize all culture all around the world. Is just like, let's just mix them up from all over the place and throw them in there and see how it goes. And
I mean, our border has been a joke since the 70s. Cheech and Chong literally made jokes about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, like Up in Smoke, where says someone they're on the house and they're meeting the drug dealer guy, and someone says, "Oh, everybody hide immigration," and they all they're hiding behind like a window blind and stuff, really bad hiding spots. And then Cheech is like, "Oh, it's okay, it's just my cousin's wedding." And Chong's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, my cousin, he's getting married down in Tijuana. We all get a ride down there with immigration. They give us lunch." They called immigration on themselves to get a ride. So that's been going on since the 70s. Basically my whole life.
Mm-hmm. So what are we walking into here? It's some form of totalitarianism, right?
Well,
like as a world, like what is the world government going to be? Like if there's going to be a social credit system and you can just be taken off of the map, and no more money for you, you go you live in the woods and disappear. You're not welcome in society.
Then I'll go in the woods.
Is it called, is it like a techno oligarchy or what?
A technocracy?
Technocracy?
Yeah, it's a government run by technology.
But it's also got to have like some type of totalitarianism in there because you can't speak out against the state.
Well, yeah. And machines aren't very negotiable. Technology's not. You can't negotiate with technology. Can't talk to a robot.
No. Yeah. What was that? Elysium? You ever see that movie with Matt Damon?
I haven't.
Yeah. It's like you walk in and in your whatever your case agent is a computer or whatever, and you're like trying.
Right.
There's no
negotiation.
No, it's just
No
like, who
bartering.
are you? What's your number?
Right.
This is where you go now.
I mean, we're heading into a new Cold War. This time it's going to be mostly with China. They're aligned with Russia right now, but Russia and China will come into conflict if given enough time and left to their own devices. Chinese companies have been flash mining timber in Siberia for decades now. They run in during the day, they let off some dynamite, grab some trees, and run back out across the border again. And, it's mostly happening in the Jewish Autonomous Oblast, and they don't really want to get Moscow involved in it because they're autonomous. So eventually it's going to come to a head. And Putin, he gave a bunch of land to any Russian that wanted to move to Siberia for free. It was something ridiculous. So if you were a Russian male and you wanted to have some land and you were poor,
you could just go to Siberia.
You go to Siberia and set up shop, and he'll give you some money and some land to do it with.
I think you can still do that in America too, in Alaska, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I know that used to be a thing. I'm not exactly sure.
Well, let's see if there's anything else here to wrap up, because I think we got our extra late start time in. Unless you got anything else you want to say, or you can think of any other news you want to discuss.
I'm curious about Turkey. I want to see if they're going to leave NATO or not. Now that the Russians are going to be heavily in the Black Sea, that causes a big problem for Turkey, because Turkey and Russia traditionally don't have good relations, and the Turks are going to be in control on whether the Russians can get out of the Black Sea versus via the Turkish Straits and Constantinople. So I'm wondering if Turkey's going to flip. I'm wondering that. I'm wondering if we're going to see civil unrest in Mexico, because that's bound to hit eventually.
What's going to start that? What's going to start civil unrest in Mexico? Do you have any idea?
I don't know enough about, even though I spent a good amount of time there for a while, I don't know enough about what's happening. But they go through the same shit of critical critique of colonialism, because they were a colonial power at one time as well.
Well, I wanted to share a couple analogies about where you get or how you're getting information. If you're watching mainstream media, you are sitting at the kids' table of information.
Yeah, that's corporate.
You're not getting any big grown-up fucking information.
No, that's what the corporations want you to believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want you to know. They pay for it, and that's what they do.
You're being pipelined.
Yeah.
And
you're being fed a narrative that's going to benefit the corporations that sponsor the media.
So if there's anybody listening to this, and you already know that, I'm sure most people who do listen to this will already know that. Just make sure there's an analogy you can talk to people pretty easily is, if you're watching corporate media, you're at the kids' table of information, and let them know if they want to be at the adult table, they're going to need to get out of that frame of perceiving news.
They're going to have to start learning.
Mm-hmm.
I find a lot of things predictable because I have an interest in history.
And it's easy enough just to follow that as a friggin' pattern.
As a pattern, or just knowing like what happened when. And, another big thing was, well, I guess it comes from history, but
Sovereign philosophies, just understanding sovereign philosophies. How nations operate in their own prudence. What comprises the nation? What makes a nation? What are the UN regulations, requirements to become a nation? That's a good thing to know. It's posted on their website. You can look it up. They tell you. They have requirements.
And then if you want to even dig deeper, there's the history, which like Graham Hancock would say is like amnesia history. There's a good possibility, the human race has been here a lot longer than what everybody's being told. But beyond that, symbolism in the stuff you see in the world, like supposedly, I mean, I have to look into it a little more, but last week was the first time Pluto has come back to the United States since July 4th, 1776. And is that a coincidence or what?
Here's something that the QAnon people are talking about. You get pretty fucking crazy at times. But I thought this was interesting nonetheless.
But this goes beyond QAnon. This is like Freemasonry and Illuminati or whatever people you want to talk about.
So this week on Tuesday, it was 2/22/22. It was also 22 years, 222 days since JFK Jr. died. I went and did the math. I was like, what the?
No way.
Yeah, what the fuck? I don't know who the fuck decided to figure that out. But yeah, that's the thing.
That's insane. I'll have to look that one up. Or you're going to have to pop it off to me after the show. That's like, that just go. I mean, yeah, there's so many things you can see anything in anything, but it's like when you got places like, the Vatican or other secret societies, and not that the Vatican's a secret society, but they've been around for thousands and thousands of years.
They're the oldest organization. They're beating out Oxford.
Yeah.
Right.
They've been around for a long time. And if you don't think that they watch for things like Pluto coming back to America and dates like 2/22, they do. They pay attention to that shit. So
they have that kind of longevity.
Don't be naive.
They have that kind of future planning, forward thinking. Yeah, they plan ahead, definitely.
And I don't know half of, not even a pissant portion of what's going on, and neither does anybody else. So just don't be naive.
Keep an open mind.
Keep an open mind. Question everything. Right. I mean, unless you want to just be blissfully ignorant, which is, if you want to do that, because that is amazing as well. You can just live your life and be happy as fuck, but don't complain when someone comes to your door and starts taking away your rights.
Right. I mean, politics is one of the things where you have to let go of your ego. It's not art, you got to let go of your ego because it's impossible to take all this information in. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
And people are going to know things that you don't know.
And you can't know everything.
Right. No. You can't. And that's okay. It's okay to be wrong sometimes.
That's a big issue, I believe, with a lot of people on the left, where it's this idiot savant syndrome where they feel like they need to say, yeah, I know that, even though they have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Right.
They feel like their intelligence has been diminished because someone knows something they don't know.
I experience it all the time. I have people look, you've known me a long time. I talk a lot of crazy shit. And I know a lot of stupid, obscure stuff that has to do with politics and history. And I'm sure, I don't know how many, maybe we got 2 viewers, but I'm sure that I said some stuff that people are like, what the fuck is that? I looked it up.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm smart or anything. I'm just willing to try to learn stuff that maybe, I don't know.
It's interesting to learn.
Yeah, it's interesting to learn.
Yeah.
Or at least ponder. And I don't take it all as like absolute truth. But,
no.
There comes a time when things happen and they start to become predictable, and you have to ask yourself, is this mathematically possible that this just keeps happening to be coincidence?
And that answer is usually no.
Like, all right,
it's
I'm
not coincidence.
Here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of Alex Jones, right? I wonder, how is Alex Jones still alive if he's doing what he says he's doing? But how the fuck did Alex Jones know that there was going to be a major war this February?
Right. He in October. He told his audience. What he's hearing is there's going to be a war
He
in
heard it
February.
from up high.
He said according to people up high that aren't associated with the global New World Order or whatever, something like that, or the global elite friggin' cabal, they say war in February.
How did he predict that? I don't know. I don't even want to think about it, honestly, because I'm sure he's fun to party with. But
You know he is. If Joe Rogan likes him, he's fucking fun
sure
to
he's
party
fun
with.
to
I've
party
seen him
with.
on Tim Pool a few times. He looks amazing. He's you know, he's a real character. That's just the way he is. But he knows a lot of stuff too. Like they had him on Tim, and he's like, "Oh yeah, George Washington was, you know, talking to Illuminati about this and that."
Sure.
And they're like, "No way, no way!" And they look it up, and sure enough, there it is. He's got letters to the Illuminati.
George Washington, here's one of my favorite ones. So he described seeing two angels on December 24th, right before the crossing of the Delaware and going to Valley Forge. That told him that he had to lead the Continental Army to victory, that he was going to win, and then he had to go ahead and do it. And he had to be brave. That description of his description of that encounter is what a lot of people describe like an alien and abduction encounter today.
Right. Well, that's the whole alien angel thing. It's like it might as well be one and the same.
As far as we can tell, sure. I mean, unless somebody has some kind of definitive proof has captured one.
Right.
Which I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, this is all Washington's economy anyway. I'm joking.
Rome. We're still living in Roman times.
It's Washington's fault this war for Ukraine happened.
Oh, you're saying Jesus Christ. Yeah.
We're still living off Washington.
Freaking Putin, fucking George just blew it. If it weren't for George Washington laying them bricks, that cornerstone of society, would never have this.
Never happened. Oh my God.
It's all his fault.
It's all his fault. Washington was Putin's puppet.
Crossing that damn Delaware.
Yeah, but back to Crimea, Ukraine. The time to act was 2014. Now it's just people crying.
I feel bad. Like I said, I was talking to this one woman I know that's Russian and her husband's Ukrainian.
Oh, wow.
And she's fucking scared shitless, and she don't know what to do. They can't even.
Right.
They're not even.
I'm sure there's a lot of that because a lot of them speak the same language.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of crossover, a lot of the same bloodlines.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think of that.
So, anyway, it's all foobar. We're just being led like lambs to the slaughter.
Lambs to the slaughter.
My favorite's when I watch Alex every now and then, and he gets all friggin' like crazy, like pissed off at the people. It's like, it's over, folks. It's fucking over. I love that shit. Holy fuck.
Yeah, he gets all red in the face.
It's just like, it's done. It's over. It's fucked. All right. So we're gonna get going. We were a little unprepared this week, a little late on the trigger.
I had moved this week. I'll be moved in totally by next week, though.
That's awesome.
So that won't happen again.
Yeah, we're gonna have a delightful show next week. I'm sure of it. Whoever's watching, like and subscribe, man. Yeah.
Hit the Zelensky button.
We still haven't done any of our skits or others like shorts, movies or shorts, whatever the hell we're gonna do. But I think that stuff's gonna turn around real soon. I just got some of my green screen material here, so
nice.
We'll be able to do some stuff like that. We can look forward to some good shows in the future. This week we kind of just were out of it, so that's why we didn't get too much movement.
I'm sorry. It
Um,
was a busy week.
yeah.
And my business was busy out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm trying to move, people. It's been slow for weeks, months. Now suddenly I can't. If I'm moving, now it's gonna. We're in a rains and pours, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Things just come in waves.
Come in waves.
Mm-hmm.
Like Russian assaults.
Jesus Christ.
Remember Russian Attack? Did you ever finish that game?
God damn, that was a tough game.
I never got to the end of that damn game.
It's like, I think I got to like level 3 and I'd always die somewhere. And it was 5-level game, I think.
Right.
Fuck, that was a tough one.
That was a tough one. This whole Russian thing is a lot of nostalgia,
Should we,
bringing back like my youthful.
should we make some speed runs at it?
Speed runs?
You ever watch speed runs for games,
No,
old
no.
games? Oh my God, I'm addicted to that stuff. I was just watching like the Mike Tyson speed runs and the Super Punch Out speed runs.
Yeah, I can get into that.
And they got Kid Icarus or Icarus, however you want to pronounce it, speed runs. They got Metroid speed runs. They got Zelda speed runs. People like beating Zelda Ocarina of Time from Nintendo 64 in like an hour or something like that. It's because they know all the tricks to just cheat and just get right through everything.
Remember Akari Warriors? That was great.
Akari Warriors was over. I think I preferred Contra.
Oh yeah.
But Akari had the cheat, so you just come back to life.
Yeah. Contra had a cheat too, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah. I think so.
But yeah, maybe we should do some speed running here. No, that wouldn't be good.
I haven't played a video game in over a decade.
Well, would you want to?
I don't know. I'm scared.
I'm a little scared myself because we could set it right up there on that TV. We could have our little pictures right down in the bottom of the corner. We could be sitting there talking shit.
I stopped playing video games because I got into Call of Duty during the PS3 days, and I was looking things up on the internet to do, So I was like, "Oh, check out YouTube," and then I saw some kid who made a video of, and I was in it, and he was talking about me being in a weird spot, and I'm like, I gotta get off this. They're making videos about me now.
We blew it. Because that was like, I couldn't wrap my head around it back then. Like, you're not even playing the game? You're just watching people play the game?
Right.
The fuck's wrong with you?
Right. Now these people on Twitch.
I'd be like yelling at my little nephew. I'm like, you're just watching people play the game? And then that's when you start hearing Pootie Pie and fucking in South Park making videos of that guy. And I'm just like, I guess this is a thing now. I'm just going to have to accept. People don't even play the games. They watch other people play the games. And then I kind of figured it out. It's because they're being funny while they're playing the game.
Right. They are.
So they're entertaining them, It's very strange, but I kind of get it now.
One thing, a lot of people are acting like Ukraine lost already.
I've noticed that, but that's the other thing where I'm saying, like, where's all this footage of the horror? There's a lot of bad stuff out there right now, like, but they're making it seem like the scale's much larger.
It could be. It's hard to tell from here, I do know that Jethro Tull canceled their April tour of Ukraine. I was like, that's a little premature. I mean, who knows if this is even going to be going on in April?
Right.
I do like Ian Anderson, though. I think he was one of the best frontmen of all time.
All right. Okay.
Well, he didn't sell sex, right? No gimmicks. They didn't use stage props. It was just him out there, showmanship, playing his instruments. Not the greatest singer in the world, but I like Jethro Tull. I don't know.
They're all right, I guess.
It's one of my boomer guilty pleasures. Jethro Tull. I got a few.
They won the medal award first Grammy.
They won the medal.
First Grammy.
Over Metallica, right? Fucking is so horrible.
The goddamn flute beat Metallica out.
It's metal.
It was a fucking metal flute. Okay. That's about it for this week, I think, unless you got anything else way in the deep depth.
I did, but I forgot it.
You got to keep moving, right? You got more stuff.
Yeah.
You got to run back.
Fucking sucks, dude. I'm so tired of moving. Remind me never to do it again after this.
I'll remind you.
I'm thinking as I'm moving to some place that I know I'm going to move out of in like a year.
Ooh.
I mean, it's just I'm sure I'll be moving on by then. Yeah.
Well, don't do it in the winter.
I know. It was a weird move because it was kind of like spur of the moment, and it was a move up for me, but it was cheaper.
Well, hey, count your blessings.
I guess so.
Count your blessing. All right, well, Saintly Barnes.
Saintly Brandon.
It was a nice day.
Yeah, it was good to be
Good
here.
Saturday afternoon,
Sorry,
Saturday
late,
early
everyone.
evening. Yeah, don't let that happen again.
We'll be here.
We'll be here next week with a better show.
Right.
Even though we had a little bit of fun, got a little bit serious this week.
Don't take your eye off the South China Sea.
Um,
Don't forget about India. They got nukes. How about India going to Ukraine? That was something. Pulling a Leroy Jenkins.
what happened?
So there was a no-fly zone around Ukraine, right?
Okay.
But some Indian nationals were stuck in the Ukraine. So India flew over there and picked them up.
They're just like, fuck
They
y'all.
went, Leroy Jenkins. It just went right in there. The radar readings were so funny. It's just one plane.
Well, I guess that's more than Biden did, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, friggin' the Afghanistan debacle.
That's another thing. The Taliban condemned Justin Trudeau. The Taliban.
The Taliban, they were just taking a piss.
They condemned Justin Trudeau.
They just had to be taking a piss.
They were like, Taliban was like, Trudeau, whoa, slow down, buddy. That's too much.
They were just kicking him while he's down.
My God.
Hey, Black Hitler, that's too much.
I'm waiting for them to come in conflict with China because obviously China's communist and doesn't believe in religion with the little exception of atheist animism, praying to their ancestors. And the Taliban's a deeply religious organization, from what I understand.
You think?
Yeah.
Did you see him blow up all those statues of Buddha
Yeah.
during Bush's administration?
Yeah, they're not going to go well with China, who's going to move westward eventually.
I'm pretty sure they got some of their own spiritual beliefs.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Another thing about India is they're very wary of any Russian move south. They always have been. Though throughout history that was viewed as a English territory and an English concern. But the Indians are still wary of Russian moves south because they know that the Russians want a warm water port. And if the Russians could defeat India, that would divide Asia in half. I don't know how strategically important it is anymore, but in the 1800s, 1700s, it was. I imagine it's still, to some degree, strategically important to them.
Yeah. Yep. The world, global global thermonuclear war.
Yeah, I know. And that's another thing, too. So, how old are nuclear weapons? They're older than me.
Yeah, so?
I'm not sure if World War III is going to be fought with them, Brandon. They didn't stop making better weapons just because they got nukes.
Well, I've heard that as well. People are being like, they don't even know what the fuck we got out
Why
there.
no? We don't. We don't have a clue.
We got some friggin' alternate dimension weapons.
Maybe they're going to come up with something that's
like
more
Buck
deadly.
Rogers.
Like Buck Rogers. In the 21st and a half century.
Roger, Buck. Bitty, 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 bitty. I'm going to have to get some Twiggy samples. We got to get all sampled.
I got
up
100.
here.
I got 200. 200. Bitty, 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 bitty.
Bitty, 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 bitty.
Oh,
Sold
got a bitty, bitty, bitty.
to Aaron Gray in the beautiful hot pink jumpsuit.
Aaron Gray. Wolverines.
All right. Well, we'll find out next week what weapons they have, and we'll talk more about secret societies and how we're all getting our human rights taken away from us. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Maybe we should think in the Finders. You ever hear of them?
No.
Weird case, man. The Finders group. Look into them this week. I'll send you a couple links.
All right. I will. Okay, everybody. Until the old next week, well, I'll see you then. Yeah, anything you want to say?
No, thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you for watching. And wherever you go, there you are. Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Go to MarsRats.com and get Namaskate t-shirts, Concrete Carney shirts, Rat Wax, and the Mars baseball tee in yellow or black. Go to MarsRats.com and help support this show.